This is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, and today's top headline is Canada and Mexico begin USMCA ratification. Yesterday on Wednesday, Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Chrystia Freeland, presented a Ways and Means motion to the House of Commons in Canada's Parliament that allowed for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to introduce Bill C-100, an act to implement the agreement between Canada, the United States of America, and the United Mexican States, otherwise known as the CUSMA Implementation Act. Now, CUSMA, which stands for the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, is the Canadian government's official name for the USMCA. Canada's CUSMA Implementation Act, much like the anticipated USMCA Implementation Act that is expected to be introduced in the U.S. Congress, sets out changes required to be made to Canada's federal laws and regulations in order for the new trade accord to go into effect. This includes repealing provisions of existing Canadian laws and regulations regarding NAFTA and replacing them with new updated provisions for CUSMA or USMCA. Once the CUSMA Implementation Act receives royal assent, it will become Canadian law. Now, earlier this morning, on Thursday, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, otherwise known as AMLO, announced in a news conference that he was going to summon Mexican senators for an extraordinary session and officially send them the text of the USMCA to begin ratification. Now, whereas Canada's name for the USMCA is CUSMA, the Mexican government calls it the Tratado entre México, Estados Unidos y Canadá, or T-MEC. Now, since Mexico regards it as a treaty, it only requires a simple majority approval from the country's upper legislative chamber, the Senate of the Republic, in order to be ratified. Now, in the press conference this morning, President López Obrador said, quote, "Today, the respective information will be sent so that the Senate of the Republic ratifies the Free Trade Treaty with the United States and Canada. It is the procedure that remains to be done, the ratification of the Senate, and in a respectful manner, because it is an independent, autonomous power of the Senate, it should consider convening for an extraordinary period for its approval." Now, in his remarks, AMLO also praised the USMCA for the amount of investments and high-paying jobs it will bring to Mexico. Now, with Canada and Mexico officially starting the process for their respective ratifications of the USMCA, it won't be too long before a USMCA Implementation Act is introduced in Congress. According to Politico, a bipartisan group of congressional aides will make a trip to Mexico's Congress next week, where they will meet with Mexican lawmakers to discuss and see the progress of Mexico implementing its recent collective bargaining labor reform bill, which House Speaker Pelosi and House Democrats have said was key to garnering their approval for the USMCA in Congress. However, as we've reported before in the New American, the USMCA is much more than just a simple free trade agreement between three countries. It's the architecture for the regional and economic integration of North America, similar to the early trade deals and treaties in Europe that gradually morphed into the supranational European Union of today. You may recall that when the leaders of all three countries signed the USMCA in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on November 30th, 2018, then President of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, emphasized how it would consolidate the economic integration of the continent. Listen to what he had to say about the trade treaty at the time, with subtitles in English provided below.
La renegociación del nuevo acuerdo comercial buscó salvaguardar la visión de una América del Norte integrada, la convicción de que juntos somos más fuertes y más competitivos. El Tratado México, Estados Unidos y Canadá le da un renovado rostro a nuestra integración.
Jobs are just the tip of the iceberg of what the United States stands to lose. If the USMCA is ratified by all three countries, the United States, along with Canada and Mexico, face losing their national sovereignty to a supranational regional order on the road to world government. And all of this begins with, as Peña Nieto described it, the economic integration of North America. Now, a country may always rebound from a bad economy, but it cannot recover from its loss of sovereignty. For more coverage about the USMCA, be sure to follow us on thenewamerican.com, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter.